The morning of December 16, 1944, dawned cold and bitter in the densely forested region of the Ardennes, which straddled the border between Belgium and Luxembourg. The ground was hard with frost, and the trees stood silent guardians over a landscape about to be engulfed in chaos. Here, the German forces launched their last major offensive campaign on the Western Front during World War II. An ambitious gamble that came to be known as the Battle of the Bulge. With fog hanging low, cloaking their movements, the Germans orchestrated a surprise attack, targeting a poorly defended section of the Allied line. Their aim was to disrupt the Allied advance, capture the strategic port of Antwerp, and perhaps, in their most optimistic projections, split the Allied forces to drive a wedge between the American and British armies. This bold plan, if successful, could have turned the tide of war back in Germany's favour, buying more time for Nazi Germany to regroup and rearm. Led by seasoned commanders, including the formidable Field Marshal Gerd von Rundstedt and the ambitious General Hasso von Manteuffel, the Germans deployed an assembly of divisions. The famed 6th Panzer Army, under the command of Sepp Dietrich, spearheaded the advance in the north. Meanwhile, the 5th Panzer Army, commanded by Manteuffel, engaged the Allied forces in the centre. The attack began with a massive artillery barrage, shattering the morning tranquility. German troops, tanks, and armoured vehicles poured across the lines, brushing aside initial resistance. The Americans, caught off guard, scrambled to form a coherent line of defence. The harsh winter weather added to their woes, with snow and ice complicating logistics and mobility. As days passed, the German forces pushed deeper into the Allied front, forming a bulge in the lines, hence the name Battle of the Bulge. Towns like Bastogne became critical as both symbolic and strategic points of contention. American units found themselves encircled in Bastogne, holding their ground despite being cut off and facing relentless German attacks. The turning point came with the fierce resolve and resilience of Allied forces. General George S. Patton, renowned for his aggressive tactics, swiftly redirected his Third Army, making a remarkable maneuver to relieve the besieged Bastogne. Despite persistent weather challenges, which initially grounded the air support, clear skies eventually allowed the Allied air forces to mount effective reconnaissance and bombing raids, crippling German supply lines. Morale among German troops waned as the offensive stalled. Supply problems, particularly fuel shortages, and the tough resistance met at every turn sapped their strength. By mid-January 1945, the offensive had been effectively repulsed, with the exhausted German forces retreating to their original positions, having gained no strategic objectives. The Battle of the Bulge, though costly for both sides, marked a decisive turning point in the war. For the Allies, it showcased not only their ability to adapt and respond under pressure, but also reinforced the importance of logistics, air superiority, and experienced leadership. For Nazi Germany, it was a futile last gamble that drained valuable resources, ushering in the inexorable advance of Allied forces into Germany. As snow began to melt in the poignant landscape of the Ardennes, the remnants of battle, scorched vehicles, abandoned weapons, and the stories of those who fought, remained poignant reminders of war's harsh reality. The defeat of the German forces in this challenging campaign was a significant step toward the eventual end of World War II in Europe, symbolizing the resilience and determination that would lead to victory by spring.